Got some new stuff in the mail today. Got some new stuff in the mail today. New stuff, new stuff. Ooh. Music serves many different purposes in our lives, and there are as many different kinds of musical structures that exist to serve those purposes. My personal favorite, and the one that I think is the most important, is a song. But what is that? What makes a song a song? I regret to inform you that it is not riffs, although I love riffs and I think they make songs better, so I'm gonna keep putting them in anyways. As you may have guessed, I'm making this video because I am sick to death of people sending in submissions to my songwriting contest that aren't really songs. Some of them might be cool music for something, but I can't even really consider them for the contest because they lack the things that make a song, and some understandably frustrated people have been wondering what that is. Honestly, it feels a bit weird to me to have to define this for people, but songs are my whole life, and yet I'm still having a hard time coming up with a really easy, clear, distinct definition to give to people. Since we're talking about art, hard, concrete definitions are only gonna get you so far because there's obvious exceptions to all of them. But I figured it'd probably be a good place to start to ask someone who was smarter than me. So I decided to ask Adam Neely, of course.
Melodies. Melodies are the most important thing in a song. Going back to human prehistory, singing and essentially melodies coming from singing were deeply related to language and the development of language. There's actually some fun research to suggest that early Neanderthals at least sang, or at least what we would hear as them singing as a means of communicating, and that deep tonal relationship of the human singing voice to melodies and also to the way that we communicate through language is deeply embedded in our culture and our history. And so for me, melody is so deeply important to the concept of a song. Yeah, you could technically say that there is such thing as an instrumental song, but for me, singing and melody is really at the core of it.
Hot damn, smartest man in music YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed to Adam's channel, be sure and go do that right now. Everything that he has on there is just as smart and fascinating as that. I personally also think that melody is number one, and as Adam points out, it's sort of the origin of song and music in general. But is it the smoking gun? Does a song have to have singing in it? And if it has singing in it, is it automatically a song? Or are there other things that we need to worry about? Like, was that silly little thing that I did in the beginning with the headphones box a song? A lot of metal and hip hop doesn't have what you would traditionally think of as a melody. You also wouldn't call Beethoven's Fifth, which is filthy with melody, a song, but you might call the Ninth a song, right? Freude, schöne, guter Funken, Tochter aus Elysium. It's also pretty easy to define the elements of what makes something music. We've got rhythm, pitch, melody, and harmony. But what separates a song from, say, a symphony, a beat, a movie score, or like your experimental noise EP? It's not about length, because I would call Napalm Death's You Suffer a song at 1.316 seconds in length, and also I would call Dream Theater's A Change of Seasons a song, and it's 23 minutes long. It's not about instrumentation or production. It's not about style or genre. And although some definitions would call it exclusively vocal music, I think for sure that there are instrumental songs. Joe Satriani writes songs. But I really want to avoid getting caught up in the semantics. So what we need is a working definition, a functional cultural definition, because what I don't want is for you to work so hard on something only for it to miss the point entirely. None of this is to restrict you creatively. I'm trying to give you a really practical understanding of this stuff so that you can avoid wasting your time. You can't convince people to listen to and enjoy your music just by telling them this is technically a song just because you followed all the rules. So I think what we need to do is to flip our perspective. A musician's point of view isn't really gonna help us. That's the one we've already got. And an academic one is technically correct, but can also miss the point. We need to look at it from a cultural perspective to really understand it. The reason we write songs is to cultivate a shared experience. You have something to say, and you want to find people who will understand the feeling that you're communicating, and this forms a connection between you. We're all telling our stories all day, every day to each other in different ways, and songs are a great way for us to all take part in a story together. When we listen to songs, like I'll be doing on my brand new Focal Bathis wireless noise canceling headphones, provided by today's sponsor, which is headphones.com. We're participating in the story in the same way that an episode of a TV show draws you in by empathetic response. Even if you haven't experienced the particular circumstances of the story that's being told, you can put yourself into it by proxy and feel a bit of what it would be like. Real quick, I want to talk about these headphones from today's sponsor, which is headphones.com. Aside from clearly being very slick looking and having this super sexy aesthetic, they're also very high tech. In contrast to my other favorite set of cans, which are also from Focal, these Listen Pro headphones, which are studio cans for tracking and mixing sort of applications. The Bathis are high-end audiophile grade wireless Bluetooth headphones with active noise canceling. They take Focal's very highly regarded speaker driver tech and put it in an active noise canceling platform for hi-fi sound that you can take with you everywhere. The drivers in them are made at the Focal factory in Saint Etienne, France, which makes them a high-end audiophile headphone first and foremost that just happen to be in an active noise canceling format. I personally love the sound of them because they sound really dynamic and punchy without sounding boomy. And with the USB DAC mode, you can take the sound quality to a whole other level, far beyond even just wired headphones plugged in directly. They're also way more comfortable than any other headphones that I own. Super, super cushy and also really light, which if you're gonna be wearing them for a really long time is really important. If you're interested in learning more and picking up a pair for yourself, check the link in the description below to where you can find these on headphones.com. A song is a story. It's ultimately a folk sort of a format, an oral tradition of sorts. It's the music form of the people. It's a way of connecting commonalities and communicating stories that are worth telling and remembering. Think about it. Which do you remember more? Facts about World War I and biology and mitochondria that you learned in high school? Or the lyrics to your favorite song? And in that story, the top line is the main character. The other elements are really important, but they provide context for the top line in the same way that a set, lighting, extras, props all provide context and a background for the main character in a movie. And then the structure of the song is the plot. If you don't know what a top line is, I made a whole video explaining what it is that you can watch right here so that the rest of this video will make sense to you. Without a top line, what you have is a backdrop. You can't have a story without a main character for the story to happen to. A song needs purpose, and the top line is what gives it that. It's the proxy for the listener to enter the story. It's just like in the movie Avatar where that guy ports his consciousness into one of those big blue creatures. This allows them to place themselves in the song so the listener is always the main character. You know this is true because if you've ever experienced a bad breakup, you know how all of a sudden every love song on the radio is about you. That's what I'm talking about. The inevitable conclusion is that songs are a participatory form of music. Unlike listening music, chamber music, or dance music, which is also participatory but for your body, songs belong to the listener as much as the writer and the performer. You sing along because you're part of the story. It's an immersive and interactive experience. You can absolutely have amazing music with no top line. There are tons of situations where it makes way more sense to have music like that. Soundtracks, mood music, lo-fi beats to study to, gear demo riff salads, but those aren't really what I would call songs. If it doesn't tell a story, it's probably accompaniment for something else to kind of be the story, in the way that some kinds of video game music are just there to enhance the mood, and then the gameplay is kind of the top line. The structure of a song, the plot that the story follows, of course isn't always the same, that would be very boring, but the language of a song is verse, chorus, and bridge. These are the basic elements, the bricks of song construction. You don't have to have all of them in there for it to be a song, but I like to think of it as this ancient pact between artist and listener. They make it easier for you to communicate with the audience because you'll be using plot devices that they understand. As for the question of whether or not an instrumental can be a song, if there is something that is sort of a melodic stand-in for where a human voice would be, that to me is a song. It has to have a top line still, but it can be an instrumental melodic top line. And that to me is what makes it a song. Even if you didn't write it to have singing and you wrote it with an instrumental top line, it's just that now we're telling the story with melody. Like Adam said earlier, melody is key. So I think if you have an instrumental and it has a very strong melody, that could be a song. What about metal and hip hop? If the vocals are like screaming, death metal growls, rapping, some kind of gurgles, you know, pig squeals, whatever. Does that count? Is that a song? If they're vocals but they're not pitched, does that still count as a song? In my mind, it absolutely does, because it's still telling a story in the same way that I said that an instrumental melodic top line can be sort of a stand-in for singing. I think that screaming, growling, rapping can also sort of be the stand-in for a melodic top line. For example, if a song has melodic vocals, but no words, to me that can still be a song. Like for example, the Russian la 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 guy. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do the meme. La 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 la. So you can see why I can't really give you a hard and fast definition of what makes a song, but that's kind of one of my favorite things about it. It can be so many different things and still be a song. And just like those ancient Neanderthals that Adam was talking about earlier, we're still just making noises to communicate. And because of that, you can't fake a great song. You can't just follow a set of rules or some recipe that's gonna make people fall hard for your song. That's gonna make them pump their fists in the air and scream every lyric at the top of their lungs. You have to mean it, and you have to put in the time listening to really great songs, writing tons and tons of your own, and learning from other people. Most of what I'm talking about here today is just what I think makes a song a song. What makes a good or a great song is a whole other can of worms. If you want to learn more about that, you're definitely gonna wanna check out my course, which is called Complete Rock and Metal Songwriting. You can hit the link in the description to find out more about that. And there you can also find a link to where you can get yourself a pair of these amazing Focal Bathys headphones from headphones.com. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video and sending these over so that I can listen to your riff salads in hi-fi peace. And if you write songs, but you can't figure out why people won't stick around for the whole thing, you're definitely gonna wanna watch this video right here, where I might be able to give you some insight into why that is. And I'll see you real soon.